Hello viewers, you are welcome to Wisdom Global Learning and Training Academy. Today we're going to talk about chemistry, and we started from the very basic, the very beginning. Now, our topic for today is going to be atomic structure, an atom. Now, before we talk about an atom, we have to understand the meaning, the ordinary meaning of an atom. What is an atom? An atom is defined as the smallest particle of an element which can take part in chemical reaction. Atom is defined as the smallest particle of an element which can take part in chemical reaction. Before now, in the days of old, during the Dato's atomic theory and all the Democritus and all those who have contributed to the science of discovery of the atom, they said an atom was indivisible particle. But today we found that an atom can be divided into 3 subatomic particles, which we're going to talk about. Now, the atom is made up of 3 smaller particles, which are the protons, the neutrons, and the electrons. So we found that an atom can be divided into 3 subatomic particles. Even as of today, we found all the smaller particles, apart from the protons, the neutrons, and the electrons, like the quarks and other subatomic particles that have been discovered today, and more will still be discovered in the future. Now, the protons and the neutrons of an atom, they are found where? In the nucleus of the atom, because the atom is just like we studied in biology, the cell. In the cell, we have the nucleus in the cell. So inside an atom, there is a nucleus. And now what is found in the nucleus of the atom? The protons and the neutrons are found in the nucleus of the atom, while the electrons revolve around the shell, revolve around the nucleus. They orbit the nucleus, just like the planetary system, the planetary body. So the electron revolves around the nucleus of the atom. Now, have you said this? Have you understood the atom and the subatomic particles, such as the proton, the neutrons, and the electrons? Then it begins on us to understand the composition of these subatomic particles, the properties, the characteristics of these subatomic particles. The protons and the neutrons and the electrons, they all have mass and charge. So we're going to look at these two properties of these subatomic particles of the atom. Now, the mass, we say they have the mass, and they also have what? The charge. Now let's take a look at the mass and charge of each of the subatomic particle. For proton, it has a mass of 1 and it is positively charged. And for neutron, it has a mass of 1 and it has no charge. And for electron, it has a mass of almost 0, which is like 1 all over 1,840, or 1 all over 1,850, or 1 all over 2,000, as seen in different textbooks, reported in different books. But it all means the same thing, because the value is relatively close to 0. So electrons do not really have a tangible mass. It therefore means it's almost negligible. So, but the protons and the neutrons, they have a mass of 1. And the proton is positively charged, which is found in the nucleus of the atom, like we said. And the neutron has a mass of 1, but it has no charge. The electron has a mass of almost 0, but it's negatively charged, and it revolves around the nucleus. We always say the number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. And this is why we say an atom is said to be electrically neutral. The difference between them is just the charge. The number of protons is said to be equal to the number of electrons. And this is why we said an atom is said to be electrically neutral. Now, let's take a look at a small activity to see the characteristics or the locations of these subatomic particles that we've talked about. the protons, the neutrons, where they are found, where are they located inside the atom. Because an atom is like a hub now, it's like a house, wherein some of the subatomic particles are found inside and others are found outside. Now let's take a look at their various locations. Now we say, which of these subatomic particles is located in the nucleus? The protons, right? Located in the electron, orbiting the nucleus, the electrons. Positively charged, protons. Negatively charged, electrons. Located in the nucleus again, neutrons, because the protons and the neutrons, they're both found in the nucleus of the atom. Now has a relative mass of almost 1, a relative mass of almost 1. That's electron. And then a relative mass of 1, proton. A relative mass of 1 again, neutrons. No charge, neutron. Okay, now let's check this activity that we've just done, if we're right or wrong. Yeah, that's great, we're right. So we move on to the next step of our video. Now we're going to take a look at a quick summary of these characteristics and compositions of these subatomic particles that makes up the atom. Now the nucleus is made up of protons and neutrons. This we've understood. This is the nucleus. If you take a look at this atom, this is the nucleus. This nucleus is made up of the reddish ball and the greenish ball. Now if you take a look at them, these are the number of protons and the numbers of neutrons, and both of them they found in the nucleus of the atom. Both the protons and the neutrons are found in the nucleus of the atom. Now where is the orbit? Where is the orbit or shell? These ones are the shells and the orbits. Now the nucleus is positively charged. Why? Because it's made up of protons. Protons are positively charged. The neutrons has no charge. Therefore the only charge that is found in the nucleus is the positive charge. Now the nucleus is dense because it contains all the mass of the atom in a tiny space. It contains all the mass in a very small space. So it is dense, seriously dense. Now let's take a look at the electrons. The electrons are very small and light, and they negatively charged. The electrons are small. If you take a look at the size of the electron as shown in the orbit or in the shell, you see that the size of the electron is way small compared relatively to the protons and the neutrons. So we say the electrons are small and they are light and they're negatively charged. And then they're able to lose or gain in chemical reaction. When two or more elements react together, electrons are either lost or they are gained. So this gives rise to its ability to undergo chemical reaction. And electrons are found thinly spread around the orbit. They revolve around the shell in various energy level. The electrons revolve around the shell in various energy level. So they are not found in the nucleus. They are found outside the nucleus of the atom. Okay, so now we move on to take a look at a quick discovery of the atomic structure. Who are those guys who have contributed, who have put a lot of effort to the development and the discovery, to what we are enjoying today, to what has led to the electricity and so many other things of today's generation. Now, first of all, in 450 BC, before Christ, the birth of Christ, there was a Greek philosopher called Democritus. He speculates that everything is made up of tiny particles. He called them atoms. So from a Greek word, it was atomos. Atomos was the name he gave them. He said virtually everything is made up of tiny particles, which he called atomos. So from even as far back or as late back as 450 BC, atomos has been named. Atoms have been named accordingly. Now let's take a look at in the 1803. Now Dalton, he reintroduces the idea of the particle during this time and calls them atoms, like what Democritus did. And because now John Dalton was a British scientist, so he used an English name, called them and called them the atoms. And he said they are like hard balls and cannot be splitted, but they join together seriously. Now this was his whole contribution. Now let's take a look at in the 1897, around 1897, by J.J. Thomson, the master of Rutherford, Ernest Rutherford. Now J.J. Thomson discovered the electron. He found that the atom is made up of other smaller particles called the electron. He discovered the electron. He believed that they are distributed equally throughout the atom. That was his whole understanding. That was, at that time, this was what J.J. Thomson found out about the atoms. That the atom is made up of electrons which are evenly or equally distributed around the structure of the atom. Now, after that, in 1907, Ernest Rutherford, who was a student under J.J. Thomson, discovered the nucleus and also the protons. How did he do this? He fired an alpha particle towards a gold foil in a Giga Metzi experiment. He also had two students, Giga and Metzi by name, who helped him to carry out this experiment, who were doing master's degree under him, and they helped to fire a gold foil, an alpha particle towards a gold foil, and the result shows that some of the particles could penetrate the gold foil, and some were deflected backward, and some were deflected to another direction. So he brought up his discovery, and he discovered that the atom was made up of the nucleus and the protons, as it were. Now, in 1933, Lebon says that the electrons orbit the nucleus in a fixed layer. This was his whole contribution, that the electron, they orbit the nucleus in their own fixed layer, and he called them the electron shell. This was Lebon's contribution in 1913. Now, in 1932, James Chadwick discovered the neutrons. He finds that they weigh the same as protons and have no electrical charge. So these were the earliest contribution to the development of atomic structure. Thank you very much for watching our today's video.